Today we're going to talk about one of the tools you have available to you in Britannica School and also in Britannica Library as well. And it's called MyBritannica. And of course, you have access to Britannica School and Britannica Library courtesy of BadgerLink. And so MyBritannica is basically just a way to kind of collect Britannica content, and then you can create folders and then share that content with other users. So patrons coming into your public library, or teachers, if you're using Britannica School, you could use this to create and prepare collections of Britannica content ahead of time for your units and lesson plans and lessons and things like that. It's also great for homework, flipping the classroom, times like right now when you know we're not really going to be in a lot of contact with our students, so you can kind of front load them with information. So I think it's a really neat tool to have access to, and to at least know that you have access to in your back pocket. So real quickly, my name is Jennifer Keating. I'm the Senior Education Consultant with Britannica. We are located in Chicago, so not too far away. If you have any questions for me today, tomorrow, 3 weeks from now, whenever it is, please feel free to email me directly at jkeating@eb.com, and I will respond to whatever your question is. And I'll put this up again at the end too, in case you didn't get a chance to write it down now. So let's talk a little bit about how to access Britannica School or your Britannica resources in BadgerLink. So right now I'm just here on the BadgerLink homepage, and of course to log into BadgerLink, you'll go over here to the top right. There's a little drop-down menu where you can select your library. Since I am out of state, though, they're giving me a guest zip code that I can use. And then just plug that in. So once you're in the resources section, you can browse by different formats. You can browse different subject areas. You can browse by different audiences, content providers as well. And then down here, you can also browse alphabetically. And of course, if I click on the B, I'll see some great BadgerLink resources. But then I will also, if I scroll through, I'll start to find my Britannica resources. So Britannica Library and Britannica School both have MyBritannica. You also have Moderna and Escolar, which also has MyBritannica as well. It's a different version though, because those are different databases, not as connected as Britannica Library and Britannica School are, so they are different, but they do have the same sort of functionality. So let's go ahead, we'll go into Britannica School here. And basically, you can go into any level here. I'm going to go into the middle school level. And you can see up in the top right corner, it says sign into MyBritannica. So MyBritannica is a personal account that you set up. It is not necessary to set one up if you want to use Britannica School or Britannica Library. You don't have to have an account set up with MyBritannica if you don't want to. It's just an extra tool that's at your disposal. And I just want to make sure everyone felt comfortable with using it and knew how to use it. But again, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. Students don't have to set up an account if they don't want to. It's totally fine. But I'm going to click on where it says sign into MyBritannica, and you'll notice there is down here where it says sign in. Then below that it says create an account. And this is where you can set your account up. You need to create a username and password for your account, something unique and specific to you. And then they're going to ask you to retype the password twice, just to make sure, which is something that happens to me all the time. I mistype my password the first time and I don't realize it. Then I go to try to sign in later and it's wackadoo. So they ask you to type in your password twice to make sure that there are no mistakes made and that it's the password you want. And then down here for educators or adults, they want you to share your email with us so that we can easily find that username and password and get it back to you if we need to. With students, we know that there are a lot of concerns about security, so we don't ask students to share their username and password, but they can if they want to. And then just let us know if you're an educator or a student. And again, this is an optional tool. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but you can, and students can also if they want to. So now I'm going to log into my existing account because I already have one. I'm going to log right in there, and now you'll see I am logged in to my account up here. Now it gives me some different access points. I can go into my content, or I can sign out. Over here it says lesson plan browse. You'll only see this Britannica School. And the lesson plan browse is basically a collection of lesson plans that educators have created while they were using MyBritannica. So when you're in MyBritannica, if you want to, you can create lesson plans and share them. But again, you don't have to if you don't want to. And you can browse through those lesson plans that have been already created to see if anything there works for you. The most important part for the meat and potatoes of this whole thing, I think, is right here under My Content. And this is where you can find a couple of things. Basically, anytime you have saved something to MyBritannica, you can find it here under your collection of favorites. So I've got 526 items in my favorites, quite a few here. And then if I'm looking for something specific that I've saved, I don't want to have to dig through 526 items and kind of scroll and scroll and scroll. It's going to take up a lot of time. So what I can do instead is I can create these great resource packs. So instead of having to dig through all that content, I can just create a resource pack and easily find that information. And so here's an example of a resource pack I created about plate tectonics, of course, the shifting of the Earth's tectonic plates. And so you can see here, I can add in my own content. I was able to add in a couple of additional graphic organizers. And then over here, I've got added in articles at different reading levels. I have notes. Over to the right, there's a little note column. You can type in any notes that you might have for that piece. And these are all things I have found in Britannica School. These are all websites, articles, journal and magazine articles, Britannica articles, images that I have found here in Britannica School. I can also rearrange any of these to go into the order that I want. And I can, as you see, I can put notes over here in the column on the right-hand side. You can't add in outside links, but what you can do is add in links from other websites. So this is actually, I created a resource pack about plate tectonics when I was using the Britannica Escolar, which you also have access to here in Wisconsin. And then I took the link for that resource pack about plate tectonics and Escolar, and I put it in the notes column of my resource pack in Britannica School. So that's in place so that students who maybe are native Spanish speakers, they can go and they can check out the resources I found in Spanish, and they can read through that if they want to. So that's one way you can kind of use this. But yes, that's how you would add in links from other websites. Just copy the link and put it over here in the note column. And when students look at it, they won't be able to click on it. It won't be a hyperlink, but they can certainly copy it and open a new tab with it. So let's say you've got everything in order, you have all the pieces in that you want here, you're ready to go, and now you can actually, up here at the top, you can see that there are some action items. You can rename this resource pack if you want, you can delete it altogether, you can email it to another user, or you can share the pack, which is the easiest way to share this. Just click on this tab here, this little button here, and this will generate a unique URL. This URL will only direct users to this resource pack about plate tectonics. And so I can take that link and I can share it with my students any way you would normally share any kind of URL with your students. You can put it in Google Classroom, you can hyperlink it on something else, hyperlink it on your webpage, however you want to utilize this. Any way you would normally get that link out to your students. And then when they click on it, they will be able to see this page. They'll see all the pieces you pulled together for them. They will not be able to click on any of your notes and make any additional notes here. Those notes that you put in there will remain unchanged. And then they can click on any of these blue links to access that piece. So if you want to access the article about plate tectonics, just click on that blue link and it will take you into that article. So as a couple of things I want to, so any of the pieces that you've got here, they've got that blue link. That means that they can go ahead and access that. Now, a couple of things I just want to mention here. Students do not have to have a MyBritannica account set up in order to look at their teacher's MyBritannica resource packs. So if a teacher wants to just create resource packs and share them with their students don't have to have a corresponding MyBritannica account set up in order to see those. That's totally fine. Students just need to know how to access Britannica School. So as long as students know how to log into Britannica School from at home or at school or wherever they might be, then they can see any of the tools that are in your resource pack. So again, before you share any of these with your students, make sure that you run through how to access Britannica School remotely with them so that they'll know how to do that. And the other thing is, if you happen to create a resource pack like we're looking at right now, and you share it with somebody who does have a MyBritannica account set up, then that person can actually save a copy of your resource pack. And then that person can make any changes that they want to make. They can add in or rearrange anything that they want to rearrange. You can see here it says copy right next to it. If they want to rename that resource pack, they can. I'll put chew next to it. They can make any changes, and then that will be different than the resource pack that you shared with them. And then when you're all done, you can see that now there's a different link there. It's going to have a different number. And now you can see we're looking at plate tectonics number 2, and some things have been rearranged here. Some things are in different order. So the idea here that I really like is that a teacher could create a resource pack about one topic and then share that resource pack link with another teacher, and then that teacher could make a copy of it and then make his or her own changes to their copy of that. So it's a really neat way to kind of think about looking at the curriculum, especially right now, things are a little bit up in the air, a little bit topsy-turvy still, and then looking ahead to the new year, this would be a great way to kind of pull together a lot of content ahead of time and just ready to kind of deploy these resource packs to your students as they need them. So I like the idea that teachers and sharing at the same grade level, same subject area, can kind of get together, create resource packs, share them, make copies and make their own edits, and then share those with their own students. So there are a lot of really neat ways to utilize this. But let's talk about how to create a resource pack and what that looks like. So I'm going to start a new resource pack. I'm going to click on the green button that says create a resource pack, and I'm just going to plug in, let's do Badger. So you can see here, I've got an empty folder. There are no items in my folder. So now I can actually go to my search bar across the top of the page here. And I am going to plug in Badger. And here you go. There's a nice little map of Wisconsin. This looks like the marching band maybe, or a marching band, I should say. If I want to save this, I can click on this little star. You'll find this star in every article, every photo, and every video of Britannica School. You'll also find it attached to the journals and magazines and the primary source documents. That is this little star you'll use to save any of those pieces to your MyBritannica account. So when you're logged in and you click on that star, it will tell you that this has been saved to your favorites. And you can also down here add this to an existing resource pack. Since we already have one set up for the Badger, we could just click on the Badger. But if you didn't have one set up, you could set one up as you go. So again, this just kind of really depends on each person is different. I like to set up the folder and then add things to it. Other people like to kind of set up folders as they cruise through the content. It's really up to everyone. Everyone's different. But I'm going to save this picture to my folder about the Badger. I'm also, of course, going to save this article about the Badger. And again, you can see once I've clicked on that star, it goes from being an outline to being filled in. And that lets me know later on if I see that star, I can say, oh, okay, I know that that's filled in, so that's been saved to a resource pack already. Or I've already saved this to my resource pack. And you can save articles to more than one resource pack. That's fine. But I'm going to add this to my Badger resource pack and then close that window. Here's a great little photo of a badger. What I also really like this is that you can go into each level and pull those resources in too. So it doesn't have to be just the resources that you found at the level you primarily work with. You can go all across to find even more. So here's a nice little black and white, or a nice little color photo of this European badger. Over here on the left-hand side, we've got the different images, videos, so I can see if there are any other images I might want to pull in there. Are there any videos? No videos. Magazines, primary source documents, whatever might be in there. Let's add in one more image here. And then we'll also go into the elementary, so you can see that you can pull in resources from the elementary level as well. And then when I'm ready, I can go into my content up here. And you can see here under my favorites, I have all those images I just collected. And there's been an article in there as well. And then over here, I can click on my Badger resource pack and I find, again, filtered out all of those resources that I just collected. I can rearrange these. You can kind of see, it might be a little bit difficult, but over here, over to the right of every piece that you save to your resource pack, there is a little collection of like 6 or 8 tiny blue dots. And if you use your mouse and grab onto those, you can then rearrange these and put these in any order you want. So you can put these in the proper order. Again, you can add in that note column on the right, you can add in any notes you might have, questions you might have for your students, assignments, where to find more info if you're in the public library. Maybe go to where to find more info. You can make a list of book titles. If you're in the classroom, directions on what you want your students to do with that information, whatever kind of text you want to put in here. And of course, you can put web links in here, website links here too. And they won't be hyperlinked, but you can put them in there at least, and then students can copy those links and open a new browser with them. You can also add in your own content. This is really going to be helpful if there is maybe an article of a PDF that you really like that you want to add in. Maybe you've got a page filled with all the directions for the assignment that you want your students to take a look at. You can, of course, add that information in. You can add in PDFs. What I like to think of is teachers using this to kind of add in their own graphic organizers. So if I go to Edit, Add Content, and just scroll all the way to the bottom where it says Upload Your Doc, you can see here are the different files that people can add in. Upload your document, and then I have a million things here. If I scroll down here, I have a whole folder for graphic organizers. And let's do a little Venn diagram of badgers. So now I've got my piece uploaded and I want to save changes to that pack. And you can see up here, now this is up here. I can let my students know, use the Venn diagram. And now, put my little assignment in there and I'm ready. I can go over here to where it says Share Pack. I can take this link, and again, I can share it with my students. I can share it with people at the library, wherever you want to share that information. And it's just a URL, so you can share it like any other URL. And once I share that out, you can see here are all the different pieces of content that I put in there. There is the assignment that I just added in. And then there is the Venn diagram. That is a little PDF that will open up for my students or my users at the library. So again, it's a really great way to, like I said, just kind of collect a lot of information in Britannica and then share that with your students. If I go to Britannica Library, I can go into any of these levels. And the nice thing here is I don't need to create a million different usernames and passwords. I can use the same username and password for any of these Britannica resources, and it will work for every Britannica resource that you have. So if I plug in J. Keating, I am logged in. You can see I can access my content and sign out. And all of that content is here. I can see there's my plate tectonics #2. There's my Badger resource pack that I just created. I can also go to Escolar, which is the Spanish database that you have access to from BadgerLink. And you can see here that username and password will also work here for Escolar and Moderna. You don't need to create new usernames and passwords for every resource. However, as I mentioned earlier, the Moderna and the Escolar are a different database. So you'll notice that we don't have, for example, the Badger resource pack isn't over here, and the plate tectonics Part 2 resource pack is not over here, and that's okay. You'll just have to, you have to make separate resource packs in Spanish and Britannica School or Britannica Library, but it's not too terrible. So those are the resource packs. I hope you love them. I love them. I just think it's such a neat way, again, to kind of get that customized content in front of your students, the content that you really want them to have. You can use this for, as we mentioned, right now, we're just kind of in really crazy, trying times right now for education. So this is a great way to put a lot of content in front of your students. If you're talking about history, this is a great way to kind of find some additional content that you can use to shore up the things you might normally be talking about in the classroom for history and science or social studies and science. It's going to be great for literature. If you're talking about a story, you can do a lot of background and research about where those stories take place and the issues within that story. So you can really use this for a lot of different purposes. I'm a big fan of this. And that's the Britannica School and Britannica Library resource packs. And you're all done. Just make sure to sign out.